everyone, my name is Ania Lian and I am a designated lecturer for this unit in this semester. I have not written this unit. Units are actually formal products. They are ratified by the faculty and by external bodies, so lecturers typically work with the unit as it is and produce additional materials in order to assist students in the way they think they can the best. So I will do this. And in this short, hopefully short video, what I would like to do is to explain to you how to work with the resources that I create for you, and especially the resources I created for you to assist you in completing assignment 1. Assignment 1 requests from you to produce a proposal for your research project for this particular unit. Now, you will see here that your proposal has particular order here in which we expect that your text will be organized. However, the reason that I'm actually talking to you is to teach you particular skills, and one of them is to make it clear that how you present your work and how you draft your work are two different processes. Right? And this is very important because some of you might be already sitting here and thinking, what will be the statement of my problem? And my guess is that when you are not warmed up enough, you may not actually be able to do it well. So, as you know, I have produced a PowerPoint that you can explore. It is not a perfect PowerPoint. It took me a few days to create it. It is really hard to do things in a more generic way, which is to support students whose assignments or whose proposals I'm actually not seeing, and we will discuss your proposal as we are going through the production. But please use the PowerPoint and also use this video resource to see how best you could actually go about completing your work. So, as I said earlier, this is a sequence of a presentation, but now I will take you to a work produced by one of our masters by coursework, by research students. Naomi is still in the process of actually drafting her proposal. And you will see straight away when looking at it right now that the first heading of the proposal is not a statement of the problem here. It is actually a brief history of Cambodian education. Isn't that interesting? And if we actually look a bit down, we see there is no statement of the problem, no statement of, right? Bit down here, and then the research objectives and so on. So why is it this way? Well, the reason is very simple. When you actually go about drafting your proposal, you need to start with the bigger picture, with the bigger context, in a more general way, for many reasons. First of all, for you to actually put on paper the general context of your research problematic. And for Naomi, this is actually the context of education reform in Cambodia. So she, as you can see here, she chooses as the starting point of her proposal to talk about the Khmer Rouge period and what education, well, I would like to say looked like, but I have to say did not look like, because there was no education under Khmer Rouge regime. So she's starting here and is warming herself up, and because her project is actually, and she knows it, she knew it from day 2 when she arrived in Australia, because her project will be focusing on young adolescent females in schools, she is already focusing the reader on the female condition in Cambodia. Why is this relevant to you? To show you that part of the context will be to actually bring into attention some elements that will be highly critical for your study, but they are not brought in yet in detail, explored. This is just for you to actually give yourself and us, your readers, a bit of a bite or a bit of understanding of that general context. So then, from the general context and a bit of a history, she's moving down to the current context, right? So from earlier days to the current days. And what she's saying to us, well, there are things happening in Cambodia. On the one hand, Cambodia has been run down by its past regimes. On the other hand, Cambodia is eagerly looking forward to the exciting changes that are happening in the region. How people will manage these changes is very, very important. So what Cambodia is saying, Cambodia is not saying that it knows how to do it, but Cambodia now, with its focus on developing programs and transitional reforms, what Cambodia wants to do is to work with its people towards better country. And she's telling us that. She's also telling us that Cambodia has problems, right? Cambodia has problems. Not all the children attend school, and many young women, girls aged 10, 12, 13, drop out from school. So we are getting a bit more of the context relevant to the problematic of Naomi's study. We're learning a little bit about women not completing their studies, and we know it's not a really good thing, because Naomi told us that the country wealth depends on well-being of its people, and that necessarily will include children and girls. Now, in the statement of the problem, Naomi is not so much actually telling us about her research objectives yet. This will follow later on, but she's now summarizing what she has uncovered in the literature, and she's telling us good things are happening right here, but also bad things are happening. Kids are not going to schools, and female students are not completing school. We have a problem. So she's giving us good summary of this problem in relation to female students. And now we are ready for it, because we have read all this introduction and all these things, right? So we are ready for it. And now Naomi is gonna tell us what her research objective actually is, and her research plan and her research questions. So now you can see how this particular structure of writing a draft of the proposal is commonsensical. This is how we think, and I strongly suggest that that's how you write your draft, and hopefully maybe by week 2, which is next week, you might actually send to me, and you might make presentations also in class of a draft which actually follows this structure. I am not requiring it. You can actually follow the presentation structure, but you may not be ready. So once we know that this issue of young girls dropping out of the school is really a problem, and Naomi now really in the research, in the statement of the problem, really made it visible to us, what we want to know is what Naomi will be doing. And Naomi is telling us we have a contrast. We have a contrast between opportunities and the realities. And what she will do is look at that contrast from the perspective of the opportunities that this may actually use to young female students in Cambodia. So this is her research objective. She wants to look at how all of this is actually making things difficult to female students. Now, I have put a lot of this text in PowerPoint simply because I used it as examples, and obviously Emmy's research project is much wider, much bigger in scope than it is accepted for this little 10 credit point unit, but it gives you here at least some understanding of how to go about drafting your proposal. And now what I wanted to say is that once you have all these elements written from the top level to the very bottom level, then you can actually look at the sequence identified in the assignment text, and now you could actually play with things or with the order, and you will see that it is quite possible to actually start with a statement of the problem, because all the other elements will go right underneath, right? However, I would like to emphasize the reason why I would like you to actually start with in a drafting way as opposed to straight away with a research problem and so on as requested in the presentation is that you yourselves can see the logic that you followed in your proposal, so that all elements actually talk to one another, and we do not end up in a situation like in the past I have seen with students. Things were just simply disjointed. And they were such because the students themselves didn't know how to link them, how they followed, and so on. So this is a very orderly way of actually starting to go about presentation of your proposal. Now, I will be checking for clarity and so on, for logical gaps, this PowerPoint that I have produced for you to assist you in thinking about development of your proposal. However, because time is tight and you need to have your proposal ready pretty much by week 3, so a lot of it has to be ready by week 2, so that I can actually give you comments and we can have discussions. I am uploading all of this now today on Friday night for you, so be a little bit understanding. Now this PowerPoint actually summarizes most of the things we've covered in the on-campus class, and hopefully they will be useful for you. So now what you will do here is when you work with it, you can see this is a link, this is a link, this is a link. Now you can actually work with this PowerPoint simply by clicking it to go to the next slide and the next slide. You don't actually have to follow the links, because the whole PowerPoint is designed in a way that you can either click on go back here and go back to the main structure, or you can simply just go next, 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 and next, and the logic will be there. Okay, so I do ask you for your understanding, just in case there are some logical gaps there and so on. But we have our meetings and we have our discussion board and we have each other to actually clarify things. And always remember, always look for solutions. Always look for solutions, otherwise time gets wasted. So I wish you all the best luck I can for your assignment 1, and hopefully all this work will pay off. Okay, thank you very much. Now, before I finish, the reason why I actually put so much text in here like this is not finished. Given the traditional blah blah, this is actually the sort of things that you will have to fill yourselves from your literature review. The reason why I write it is so that you can actually have ready sentences to use. Please plagiarize. It is not plagiarizing, it is learning how to use these structures now constructively in your own assignments. I have students in some units who are scared of using the materials I produce, and yet I produce them for you to actually use them, because if you do not use these structures today and you start inventing your own, it is like reinventing the wheel over and over again. Unless you are confident in how to write research proposals, please feel free to use the structures. Now you can see that the text in red is actually a text produced by some area, well, not quite produced. I have actually worked on it a little bit and made it much better, but it is built on work done by one of our students from David from the Philippines. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Another thing I wanted to say is that all this elaborative structure that I produced is actually to assist you, all of that, to assist you in creating what often is called a critically informed research. I just say informed because that will do, right? So what I want to do is to ensure that your work is expansive, it covers angles, and this is the time to learn how to do it. So hopefully these are all useful learning tools, and I hope you can use them. So you can see the text in white will be examples from Nemi's proposal, and the text in red is the examples of a student from EPL 541. I inserted them both here because you might use this resource for many different purposes, also just simply to compare and contrast. I don't know, I did it, hopefully it's of use. If it's not of use, ignore those slides that are useless. Alright, best of luck.